I'm Prince Thunderspark, and today I'm going to be talking about my top tier arena team, or rather, what I use as my top arena team. Currently, I use Jedi, and while they may have a spot in new meta somewhat, I've been using them for a pretty long while. Today I'm going to talk about why I use each of the Jedi I use, and how long I've been using them. The first, Grandmaster Yoda himself. He's been one of my personal favorite characters for a very, very long time, even before his buff. For the longest time, he was the first and only legendary character I've had. I actually got most of my other Jedi up to a pretty darn high level. Not Ezra, because he came later. But Ahsoka, Luminara, Eth Koth, these were characters I used to use and I used to complete the Yoda event. I got the others later. I personally loved him because of the foresight and whatnot. I have both his Zetas, even though I don't really use his leadership. Even though it has been buffed, I still very well prefer Qui-Gon's, for reasons I'll get into later. The Master Stroke I never tended to use too much, even with the new thing that it grants him an immediate bonus turn, I still never used it much. Mostly because the meta has never really been about super powerful buffs. That it was always about, at least currently, it isn't about super powerful buffs. Before it might have been in certain points, but at that time Yoda didn't have his Master Stroke. Unstoppable Force, the damage increase is really, really nice. I was like that stunt. My personal favorite's always been Battle Meditation. Essentially just giving the allies foresight, and of course with the Zeta, the turn meter chance and all that stuff, in comparison to only a 50% chance. And of course, additional turn meter. It actually made it incredibly useful. Next is Qui-Gon. He's always been my go-to Jedi leader ever since I got his Zeta on Jedi on agility training. And you will not believe how much times additional speed has just helped me so much. Especially in the foresight as well, whenever a unit's defeated, offense, I often tend to just see that it's just better. Game foresight for 2 turns at the start of each encounter, it's pretty darn good. Now Ahsoka, she's got quite an interesting story. Because a long time ago, back when I was working on completing the training event, I actually had a choice. I had to choose between the Jedi Knight Guardian or Ahsoka herself to be the one that got to 5 stars. I mean, obviously she's at 5 stars now, but that was only because of later things. I eventually chose Ahsoka because she's a powerful damage dealer. Obviously, the Jedi Knight Guardian isn't that useful. She's more of a tank, even though she doesn't taunt. None of the others ever really caught my eye much. I did use the Counselor for a while until I got Ahsoka. Old Ben, I mostly used in Rebel squads for some stuff. Kanan, nah. Eth Koth and Luminara were both Jedi I did use, even though they aren't very powerful. They're exceptionally heavily geared, which I honestly, to this day, do regret. Because all these darn gear pieces I could use for other characters. But, the past is the past. I eventually ended up replacing Luminara at first with Kermit Yoda. Primarily because, of course, he's a far better healer. Capable of doing an immense amount with strength and the force, which I have Zeta'd for some even more foresight. Just call my team a foresight team at this rate. And the basic is pretty good too. Haven't Zeta'd this because, honestly, I don't want any of my characters to ever die. And I always believe when they don't, it's just better. And of course we have General Kenobi, one of my personal favorite Jedi. Aside from, obviously, Grandmaster Yoda and a few others. But boy, with that negotiator thing, even though Master Yoda's newest buff and all the tenacity and whatnot make it nearly impossible for Valve to even land, that counter chance is pretty darn good. Or the retribution. It's pretty darn good. Additionally, it does turn enemy buffs into, or enemy debuffs into buffs, which is not too bad, even though, of course, it's not used too much. Now, to show off the Jedi team in the modern meta, because obviously it works far better against debuff-heavy teams, which is, like, take this team for example. This team is almost 10,000 power stronger, but I have the advantage here, because my Jedi are capable of doing a whole lot more. Considering the additional speed they gain and the foresight, it's nearly impossible for the enemies to land the first strike. But if they do, such as Darth Vader... Oh, this time Darth Vader didn't land the first strike. He often ends up doing so. And of course I entirely dodge his attack with it. I give the Master's Training to Yoda. He does a decent amount of damage. And he gets back up to full turn meter almost immediately. Then I use this. Now Ezra here is actually a new addition to my squad. I haven't been using him too often besides that. Oh, he just did that. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'll kill him off again anyway. Okay, well that lag was horrendous. Now, let's do some Master Stroke. Kill him off, gain a lot of buffs. Then let's go for Maul. Let's go for Maul next. Because boy, with his extra damage against Jedi, it does get annoying. And of course, that ability does almost nothing, considering all the foresight, which we have once again gained. Now I just give my team all these awesome buffs, which would obviously work if I had. Also, I have Zeta'd his... I also have Zeta'd Ezra's ability, so he does do a lot more damage with it. And it gives him a bit more turn meter. Now, of course, the enemy is going to almost loop, like, pretty much just gain nothing. Now, I can give my entire team Retribution, and considering my team's Foresight, it's pretty much negated his abilities are pretty much negated entirely. And because it's assisting... Oh, you are kidding me. You just inflicted health immunity. Oh no. Health immunity. Oh, you dodged. Ezra actually might die in this battle. That rarely happens. But oh well. Actually, nope, he's not gonna die. I gotta mess with Master's Training now. And he's dead. Now, Savage's Zeta used to give me trouble, but thanks to all the extra offense that Master Yoda has, and the fact that my team is just better now in general, I'm able to actually deal with this Zeta. Before, I simply didn't have enough damage to deal with him. But I do now. It'll take a while, but I should be able to take him down. And almost. A little bit more damage should do. Come on. A little bit more. There we go. He's done. Another victory for me. Obviously, these aren't the top meta teams, but for my group when I'm around the 200-ish range, I'm doing pretty good. Normally, I'm in the 300 to 400 range, but when you have an entirely debuff heavy meta, a Jedi team works pretty well. I honestly love it. It's one of my personal favorite teams. And of course, with all the recent Jedi buffs, I'm super happy. I've just had the team for so long, it's just become ingrained in my brain. Of course, having 3 legendary characters in it does help, and a few Zetas aren't that bad either. However, one of my personal favorite things has always been Jedi.